Laudetur Jesus Christus, praised be Jesus Christ. It is the 7th of August 2022. Welcome to this broadcast of the Recitation on the Angelus, coming to you live from St. Peter's Square here in the Vatican. Pope Francis will soon lead the traditional Marian prayer of the Angelus from the window of his study in the Vatican's Apostolic Palace. Soon after the recitation of the Angelus, the Holy Father will impart his apostolic blessing on all of us, including those of you watching or listening to this broadcast, wherever you are. My name is Father Paul Samasumo. Today is the 19th Sunday in Ordinary Time of the Church's liturgical calendar. On behalf of Vatican Media, I would like to acknowledge our partner radio and television stations, Catholic TV, Catholic Television, Catholic Faith Network, Shalom World Television Networks, Shalom TV India, EWTN Television Salt and Light TV at Madashan TV, and listeners of Luminous Radio and Radio Maria England. You will find more information and details of the Angelus of today on our website, vaticannews.va. As usual, much happening in the Vatican. At the start of the week, the Vatican published Pope Francis' itinerary to Kazakhstan. Yes, next month, from the 13th of September to the 15th of September, Pope Francis will make an apostolic journey to Kazakhstan, visiting the city of Nur Sultan on the occasion of the 7th Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions. The theme of the event in Kazakhstan is the role of leaders, world and traditional faiths in the social-spiritual development of humanity after the pandemic. This is a conference that takes place every 3 years. Religious leaders from around the world gather at the Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions stand. This week also, yesterday, Pope Francis encouraging Christians seeking to evangelize on social. The Holy Father told an international conference of digital evangelizers meeting in Mexico that theirs was an important initiative. Those of you watching on television or on social media can now see the Holy Father coming up to his window, much to great cheer by the crowd here in St. Peter's Square. Hot temperatures in the square, and I'm sure you can see people with umbrellas. Dear brothers and sisters, buongiorno. In the Gospel of today's liturgy, Jesus talks to the disciples to reassure them of any fear and to invite them to be vigilant. He addresses two fundamental exhortations to them. The first is, do not be afraid, little flock. And the second, be ready. Be ready and do not be afraid. These are two key words for conquering the fears that paralyze us at times and to overcome the temptation of a passive, slumbering life. Do not be afraid and be ready. Let us look at these two invitations. Do not be afraid. First of all, Jesus encourages the disciples. He has just finished speaking to them about the loving and provident care of the Father, who cares for the little lilies in the fields and birds of the air, and therefore all the more for his children. So there is no need to worry and fret, for our lives are firmly in God's hands. We are encouraged by Jesus' invitation not to fear. Indeed, at times we feel imprisoned by a feeling of distrust and anxiety. It is the fear of failure, of not being acknowledged and loved, of not being able to realize our plans, of never being happy. And so we struggle to find solutions, to find space in which to thrive, to accumulate goods and wealth, to obtain security. And we end up living anxiously. We end up living constantly worrying. Instead, Jesus reassures us, do not be afraid. Trust in the Father who wants to give you all that you truly need. He has already given you His Son, His kingdom, and He will always accompany you with His providence, taking care of you every day. Do not be afraid. This is the certainty your hearts should be attached to. Our hearts should be attached to this certainty. Do not be afraid. But knowing that the Lord watches over us with love does not entitle us to slumber, to let ourselves succumb to laziness. On the contrary, we must be alert, vigilant. Indeed, to love means being attentive to the other, being aware of his or her needs, being willing to listen and to welcome, being ready. The second invitation is be ready. The second invitation is a Christian wisdom. Jesus repeats this invitation several times, and today he does so through three short parables centered on the master of the house who, in the first, returns unexpectedly from the wedding banquet, on the second, does not want to be surprised by thieves, and in the third, returns from a long journey. The message is the same all the time. It is necessary to stay awake, not to fall asleep. That is, not to be distracted, not to give in to inner idleness, because the Lord comes even in situations we do not expect Him. Do not sleep. Let us stay awake. At the end of our life, He will call us to account for the goods He has entrusted to us. Therefore, being vigilant also means being responsible. That is, safeguarding and administering those goods faithfully. We have received so much: life, faith, family, relationships, work, but also the places where we live, our cities, creation. Let us ask ourselves, do we care for this inheritance the Lord has left us? Do we safeguard its beauty, or we use things only for ourselves and for our immediate convenience? We need to think about this. Are we custodians of all this inheritance? Brothers and sisters, let us walk together without fear, in the sentence that the Lord accompanies us always. Let us stay awake, lest we be asleep when the Lord passes by. St. Augustine used to say, I am afraid that the Lord passes and I'm not aware. That I fall asleep and the Lord passes by. Let us stay awake. May the Virgin Mary help us who welcome the Lord's visit and readily and generously said, Here I am. The angel of the Lord declared unto Mary,
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tui mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus.
Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostre. Amen.
Ecce ancilla Domini.
Fiat mi secundum verbum tuum.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tui mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus.
Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostre. Amen.
El verbum caro factum est.
Et habitavit in nobis.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tui mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus.
Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostre. Amen.
Ora pro nobis, Santa Dei Genitrix.
Ut digni efficiamur promissionibus Christi.
Gratiam Tua, quesumus Domine, mentibus nostris infunde, ut angelo nunziante, Christi Filii Tui, incarnatione coniovimus, per passione meius ad crucem, a resurrectionis gloriam perducamur, per Christum Dominum nostrum.
Amen.
Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto.
sic ut erat in principio et nunc et semper, et in saecula saeculorum. Amen.
Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto.
Sic ut erat in principio et nunc et semper, et in saecula saeculorum. Amen.
Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto.
Sic ut erat in principio et nunc et semper, et in saecula saeculorum. Amen.
Pro fidelibus defunctis, requiem aeternam dona eis Domine.
Et lux perpetua lucea Teis.
Requiescant in pace.
Amen.
Sit nomen Domini benedictum.
Ex hoc nunc et usque in saeculum.
Aiutorium nostrum in nomine Domini.
Qui fecit caelum et terram.
Benedicat vos, omnipotens Deus, Pater, et Filius, et Spiritus Sanctus.
Amen.
Just received the blessing of the Holy Father after the recitation of the Angelus in Latin.
Fratelli e sorelle,
Dear brothers and sisters,
desidero salutare con soddisfazione la partenza dai porti dell'Ucraina delle
I would
prime
like
navi
to
cariche di
salute
cereali.
with satisfaction
Questo passo dimostra
the first
che è possibile
vessels
dialogare
carrying thousands
e
of tons
raggiungere risultati
of
concreti
tons
che
of
sono
corn
venuti.
that have left Ukrainian ports. The Holy Father says this is a sign that an international agreement allowing the export of grain is a sign of hope, and that we can reach towards the end of the war and peace.
Alcuni pellegrini
I-
polacchi diretti a
The Holy
Medjugorje
Father also
hanno
making
perso la
reference
vita, gli altri sono rimasti
to the
feriti.
12 people who were killed in a
La Madonna
tragic
interceda per tutti loro
bus
e i
accident
familiari.
after a Polish bus carrying pilgrims traveling to Medjugorje
Oggi è la giornata culminante
carried
del
off
pellegrinaggio europeo
a
dei
road
giovani a
in
Santiago di
Croatia.
Compostela, rinviato dall'anno scorso che era l'anno santo
And also
compostellano.
Pope Francis making reference
Gioia
to the
benedictus
European
a tutti i
youth
giovani che hanno
pilgrimage,
partecipato.
which was being held from the 3rd to today in San Diego de Compostela, Spain.
Che la vostra vita sia sempre un cammino.
That the Holy Father, wishing young people that
Un cammino verso
their
Dio
lives
e
will
verso i
be a
fratelli,
pilgrimage
un cammino nel
towards
servizio e
other
nella
people,
gioia.
towards
Ora
service
porgo
and
un
towards
saluto a tutti
joy.
voi,
And also
romani,
greeting
pellegrini
now
di
the
vari
pilgrims
paesi,
in the
particolari
square.
i fedeli di Malta.
Pilgrims from Malta.
Saluto il gruppo di Crevalcuori, i giovani della diocesi di Verona e quelli dell'oratorio Don Bosco di Tolmezzo. Auguro a tutti una buona
Holy
domenica.
Father greeting various
Per favore,
pilgrims
non dimenticate di pregare per me.
and saying, I wish you a lovely Sunday, and please do not forget to pray for me. Enjoy your lunch and arrivederci. So the Holy Father has made reference also to his satisfaction about the international cooperation that have seen the first vessels carrying thousands of tons of corn leave Ukrainian ports, and has offered his condolences to victims of a Croatian accident, of a bus that was in an accident in Croatia carrying Polish pilgrims. And that brings us to the end of the 7th August 2022 Angelus. I'm Father Paul Samasumo on behalf of Vatican Media. Big thank you to all who have made this transmission possible, and to our partner broadcasters. Laudetur Jesus Christus. Praise be Jesus Christ.
In this video, we are going to discuss praying the entire rosary. Many people don't know this, but for the longest time, and when it was originally introduced, the rosary was considered to be all the mysteries. And these